Okay, guys, so I wanted to just touch base with you on a political issue here with regard to. I was going to post this on my Tumblr page, but I thought it was worth me doing a quick video on because when I went into the various categories here and I hit real war, I think real war in Ukraine, I found an article that was written less than a month. Wait a minute. Excuse me, 2 months after Brandon was installed via a COUP. And that's what happened. And right now, what you're seeing is the collapse of the United States of America right before our eyes. Because when you take things away from the people, and by the way, I had a conversation with someone today, and that was in. I'm trying to sell this house, and I'm getting so much damn interest in it. I can't even believe it. I mean, I'm gonna have to pull the sign down, honestly, and that'll get even more interest in it. It's just I don't know what. Okay, so again, I've had to black out all the windows. I'm like, I don't want people nosing around this place, you know. Because of stuff like this. And when we look at Brandon, and I mentioned to someone, I was just testing him. I said, let's go, Brandon. He was talking about, I don't know what's going on in the world and I don't know what to think. And he kept saying that to me. And I just said, well, and I gave him a nonpartisan opinion. And I honestly don't know what side he was coming from, but he seemed to want to end the conversation rather quickly. And I really couldn't understand it because I think people are so confused right now that they don't want the truth. They don't want to know the truth. And they don't even want to think of the prospect that their country is gone. They don't want to think. People were saying, Boris, I did support Boris. I've been following Boris for years. During I never even watched TV time. I listened to speech after documentary on Boris. I thought he was cool as fuck. He needs to keep his penis in his pants, but. And I hate it when people make fun of leaders just because they have quirks. I'd rather have someone with a quirk that stands up for my country, i.e. Trump, i.e. Boris. I'd rather have someone like that than someone like Brandon R. Biden and Chlamydia, who weren't even elected and who don't give a shit. Chlamydia doesn't give a shit. She knows she has her 8 years. And right now she's just probably doing jack shit in an office, holding faux meetings on racial relations, even though she was always privileged and went to a private school once again in Canada. We get all these damn Canadian people in here. Ted Cruz was from Canada too. Everybody wants to come in here. I mean, why can't we just get an American dude? And then we get one and they say, well, I'm sorry, you can't be here. You're not part of our corrupt club. And I believe what they're doing right now is they're blackmailing people left and right. So we have this. 2 months after Biden was installed, suddenly we have on the South Front. I hate it when I do that, but I'm sorry. This is by Jayhawk. Okay. Joe Biden's extensive interest in Ukraine during his tenure as Obama's vice president. Gee, I wonder why. Meant that U.S. attention toward the country would be instantly elevated in the eyes of the new administration. The Burisma scandal, which implicated Hunter Biden and which became a problem for Joe Biden on the campaign trail, combined with Biden's own apparent frailty and avoidance of extensive public engagements, have meant that Biden is yet to have a telephone conversation with Zelensky. Again, we're going back to 2021, okay? So let's continue on. And I don't even know if I believe that, but let's just keep going. Russian interference. Whether he deliberately, now we'll get to it, whether he deliberately chose to outsource Ukraine policy to his trusted advisors, yes, Victoria Nuland and Blinkbein, and Nuland's real name is Noodleberg. Go to Gonzalo Lira's channel, and his first one that he's not posting on Gonzalo Lira too, but if you go to his first one, Gonzalo Lira, you will see a video called Who is Victoria Nuland? And he gets deep into philosophy and critical thinking skills that will, if you have a decent attention span, will blow your mind. It blew mine. Wait a minute. That didn't sound very good. That will shock you. How's that? Or they are taking initiative in order to fill the vacuum of power left by their boss's incapacity. Yeah, that's kind of what I think. U.S.-Ukraine policy has taken a number of new twists and turns in less than 2 months of the Biden administration. You see what I'm saying? I mean, right away, they just went for this. They went like the bloodsucker. There's all these mosquitoes that keep getting in here, and I don't know. I'm trying great lengths not to get, somehow they're getting in. I have everything completely, sealed up, and there aren't anything that I can see. But when I'm getting them, they come up to me and they bite me, and then all of a sudden I see them flying around, and I kill them, and all the blood, they've already bitten me, right? And they're loaded with my blood or somebody else's. And that's really weird. I mean, that I used to remember a lot from the 60s and 70s, but I mean, are they biting other people then getting in here? And then I don't know. I just don't want infected mosquito blood all over the place, but it's happening a couple times a day right now, and I'm really grossed out by it. But that's kind of what Victoria Nuland and Anthony Blinken and Barack Hussein's VP installation are doing. I'm sorry. It's just very, very emotional here. So Biden administration's actions so far indicate a certain degree of impatience with the group's goings on in Kiev, which is behaving in an all too independent fashion on many issues. Kiev's decision to nationalize Motor Seek, an aircraft engine manufacturer whose purchase was sought by Chinese investors, robbed Ukraine of a significant influx of badly needed hard currency. See, it's not supposed to be a poor country. If you looked at everything and saw it on paper, it should be a rich country thriving. But when people come in and steal your shit, you become a poor, war-torn country, which is going to happen here soon. I don't know. There seem to be a lot of fronts out there that, I have some very interesting conversations with some very interesting people. In a very interesting, secluded part of the United States, untouched by bullshit. Also because there was a group that got together and bought land so nothing was developed behind them or on the other side of the property. And you walk back there are like little lakes with beavers building dams and shit. I'm not kidding. You can see nature happening there. Obviously full of bugs this time of year, but it's private hunting, private this, private that, So that means it's just a private area that's not going to be overdeveloped. Which is a stronghold, really, when you think about it. Biden administration's actions so far indicate a certain degree of impatience with the goings-on in Kiev, which is behaving in an all-too independent fashion. Okay, that's what I said. Hard currency. I apologize. I lost my place here. I'm going to read this last thing. Kiev's decision to nationalize Motor Seek, an aircraft engine manufacturer whose purchase was sought by Chinese investors, robbed Ukraine of a significant influx of badly needed hard currency. So they would have gotten an influx of money had they sold it to the Chinese investors. But Zelensky, and he's just a puppet. They didn't want to have these people become they didn't want to allow them to have the hard assets. So then it says took place after Washington expressed displeasure at Chinese companies' foothold in Ukraine and moreover across the Soviet era technologies attractive to China's aerospace industries. They're right near China, that's whatever. Okay. Let me continue on. This action was taken in spite of considerable risk of Chinese retaliation, which took the form of China's foreign ministry informing its Ukrainian equivalent that it would no longer respect its wishes concerning economic activities in the Crimea, something that Chinese firms have shied away from so far. U.S. Embassy in Kiev's instant endorsement of Zelensky's shutdown of 3 opposition TV stations and placement of sanctions in violations with Ukraine's own laws. One of Ukraine's opposition leaders, Medvedchuk, on the grounds that they were involved in spreading so-called Russian disinformation, suggests that Washington was at the very least aware of the move, and they may even promoted it. U.S. sanctioning of Igor Kolomoisky on the basis of corrupting Ukraine's politics indicates that Zelensky has not gone far enough in fulfilling Washington's wishes. In doing so, Washington demonstrated it is willing to publicly humiliate Zelensky should he fail to display appropriate deference to its wishes. The question at this point becomes, in what direction will Washington push Zelensky? How far? What means will Washington use to get its way, and to what extent will Zelensky resist? Well, Zelensky caved. Even Ivanka Trump caved. My opinions only. Giving more another chance. The greatest service that Ukraine could render Biden's administration is by launching an all-out assault on Novorossiya. A pitched battle between Ukraine and DPR-LPR forces would instantly create necessary headlines, provide additional pretext to condemn Russia, and introduce more economic sanctions and deliver the outcome that no amount of phony poisonings of Navalny could, namely the suspension or even shutdown of the Nord Stream 2 pipeline that has become the thorn in the side of the Anglo-Saxon powers and a matter of national self-assertion for Germany. A major military campaign involving several brigades supported by air power and the now operational Bayraktar TB2 drones in an effort to replicate Azerbaijan's success against Armenia in Nagorno-Karabakh would place Moscow before the unenviable choice of abandoning the Donbass or its fate, or committing its regular military forces to battle in Novorossiya's defense. Whether Ukraine's political leadership is willing to undertake such a desperate measure in a country whose president suffers from a 20% approval rating and which has seen extensive recent protests against the increase in utility payment rates is another question. On the one hand, Ukrainian troop movement on the Donbass have generated considerable attention, and exchanges of fire between Ukrainian and Novorossiyan forces appear to have continued at an elevated pace in the past several weeks. At the same time, no extraordinary measures such as the recall or or closure of borders in order to prevent military-age males from leaving the country have been observed. Well, they have been now. While Ukraine's Rada is considering laws making draft evasion more harshly punishable, these laws will not have an immediate impact and appear to be a reaction to the failure to build up a professional army of volunteers, or even to give the draftees a positive reason to serve. It has been pointed out that the Ukrainian troop movements have been so ostentatious and lacking even in elementary efforts to preserve concealment and surprise that they represent a war of nerves, an exercise in brinkmanship, and possibly an effort to simulate action for the benefit of Washington rather than genuine preparations for an offensive. A train carrying a reinforced tank company that has been spotted slowly passing 3 different railroad crossings in eastern Ukraine over the course of several days looks like an operation staged for the benefit of ubiquitous smartphone cameras. I mean, this article is just very good. I'm going to skim through it just because I may have to pick the rest of it up later because on the essence of time. I have a feeling that Zelensky is just bowing down to Biden, that they've been planning this all along, that everything was taken from the people, and this was just part of their plan. And this whole, people on Tumblr posting pictures of Queen Elizabeth II for her Jubilee year with the Ukrainian flag. I mean, go bleep yourself. Why don't you learn a few of things here? Is it too hard for you to realize that your country that your head is being effed over, and that the largest superpower in the world has fallen, but yet people just don't know it? This conversation I had, this just prompted me to do this today. I just was like, God, please stop putting your head in the sand. Please turn off MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, or whatever the hell it is. Just turn it off. So, okay. I don't know if I'm going to post this. I might. I hope you got something out of it.